Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Triple R Ryan's Real Reactions. And I'm jumping right back into it. You guys absolutely went crazy for Tuesday's Nichol Kessinger video where I finally dove deep into the Nichol saga here. And I figured why not bring it right back today here for the Thursday upload. This title is Chris Watts blames Jezebel, Mistress, for him killing pregnant wife and kids. This is on the Law and Crime Network. Here we go.
In August 2018, brutal murders took place in Frederick, Colorado. A pregnant mother named Shanann Watts and her two daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 3-year-old Celeste, were killed. Her husband, Chris Watts,
There's that damn shirt.
spoke with both police and the media, saying he had no idea where his family was and he just wanted them back home safe.
This is a sidebar with Jesse Weber.
Shanann had just returned home from a business trip the night before. Her friend got worried when Shanann didn't respond to any messages or phone calls. Watts said he had seen his wife at the house around 5 in the morning, but he had been at work at an oil company all day. But just 2 days after Shanann and the girls were reported missing, police arrested Chris Watts when he failed a polygraph test. During his interrogation,
He didn't just fail. It was like the worst possible results he could have gotten. That was one of the worst polygraph tests I've ever seen, at least performance-wise.
Watts finally started to tell the truth, or a semblance of the truth. He admitted he was having an affair with a woman named Nichol Kessinger, who he'd met through work. The affair had been going on for several months.
So Nichol was the only one?
That was the only one.
Was there ever like a one-night stand with someone else just out of the blue and one and done?
No.
Okay. All right. Do you mind if we talk a little bit more about Nichol?
Sure.
Okay. So walk me through it, because that was one of the things we never really got to ask you about.
Right, we didn't
just
talk
kind of
about
skipped on and talked about where the girls were, but so what happened there?
So it was probably around June 1st or something. That's when I first met her. And it was just like a work conversation. She messed with the gas meters that, we were out in the field. And I was messing up, and then, I took it to her like, hey, what's going on with this? Like, how do I fix it? And,
Once again, the loudest possible background air conditioner vent. It's like, it's a good Lord.
After that, we just ran into each other a few times in the office. And
yeah, you ran into each other. Your bodies ran into each other multiple times. Cheating ass.
I think it was probably the 4th time meeting. She had asked me, because like when we were talking back and forth, I would say, like we moved here from Colorado or from North Carolina and stuff like that. And then she's like, "What's all this weed stuff?" I'm like, "Oh," I took out my phone and showed her a picture. Like,
what's all this wee stuff? See, that's probably where her jealousy started, because we obviously from the last video I saw how jealous Nichol is and how possessive she was over Chris, even though Chris wasn't hers, which is why everything went down the way it was.
My girl's on the phone. She's like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "So you're like, yeah." Like, I didn't wear a ring at work because like I sent it off so I get refitted when I lost all that weight. So, but
you lost so much weight that your fingers lost weight?
Call him out. Call him out. Now, I'm not saying that's not possible, but come on, Chris. We know why you weren't wearing a ring. Okay, we're not stupid.
Yeah, it was literally like I was out in the snow one time. I went like that, and my ring went off on the rocks. So I was just like, I was panicking, trying to find out that I can't wear this anymore. But
see
so
the lady there laughing. She's just like, "You're full of crap." If you're a proud husband and you lost a bunch of weight, you'll get that ring fitted. 100%. I know many people that have.
She actually left me alone for a couple days, and she texted me outside the field. And then after that, we just kept texting back and forth, and it was just, just like, like she used to work in a low rig out in North Dakota, I think. And we just kind of trading stories back and forth about what we did and everything. And then one day it just kind of went to a different level, and then I never thought I would ever go to that level. But she was talking about meeting up after we got back from San Diego. Yeah, we go to
See, like, they both knew what they were doing. Nichol and Chris, they both took it to that level. They both knew that it was not right and it was immoral. They both understood that. They both are playing dumb and acting like, yeah, one day it just kind of happened. No. They had been building to that, and I feel like both of them wanted to get to that level, but they weren't sure and this and that. They both knew what the hell they were doing, okay? And especially Nichol, I feel like, once again, she really was planting those seeds and probably planting doubt in his head about Shanann every couple of conversations, right? Just to see if he bites. And of course he did more than bite.
San Diego from the 22nd to the 26th of June. And we met up
June 26th. That's my birthday. Shout out to all the cancers watching.
after we got back. And
How did you guys meet up?
at a park in Thornton.
Always a park.
Yeah, Thornton somewhere. And after that, we just kept seeing each other pretty much the whole month of July.
So let me ask you this. You tell me if I'm wrong. You strike me as somewhat of a shy person. So when you guys were meeting, was it just kind of very initiatory, like flirting at first? Okay. From both sides?
Yeah, it was just kind of like feeling each other out.
According to Chris Watts, he talked with Shanann about a possible separation and says
I'll be honest, he did lose some weight. He does look much different there. I was like, oh, who's that? Who's that guy? No, that's Chris.
she became enraged. And during his apparent confession, he told his
Wait, say
father
again?
separation.
Feeling each other out.
According to Chris Watts, he talked with Shanann about
yeah.
a possible separation and says she became enraged.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure Shanann became enraged.
During his apparent confession, he told his father that he went down
The woman who filmed Facebook videos of her children constantly. I'm sure she was the one that was enraged, Chris.
downstairs, and when he went back upstairs, Shanann had allegedly suffocated the two little girls.
That woman just looks full of rage, right, guys?
Watts says he then strangled Shanann out of anger and took all three bodies to a remote oil storage site being used by his employer.
Let's say BBL. Sorry.
Shanann was buried in a shallow grave. Bella and Celeste's bodies were found
8 inches
in
of
crude
dirt.
oil tanks nearby. And in the days after the family was discovered dead, police spoke with Kessinger about her connection to the case.
Now, I want to say, in the future, I know you guys are already asking, I will eventually dive into this entire interrogation. It's 3.5 hours long. I'll probably do 2 to 3 different parts. I will get there eventually. I just want to get some more things going with Nichol so I know everything, so I can really read her in this. But I already have seen you guys saying you got to watch it. You got to watch the interview, the interrogation. I will get there. I promise it will happen. You know, I upload different things on this channel in the true crime world, so I'm not going to just upload all Chris Watts. And if you subscribe for Chris Watts content, I appreciate it. I do hope and pray, though, that you will watch other content that I put out and other cases and things, because I put just as much time and effort into those videos. So just wanted to say that. We've gotten a lot of subscribers and a lot of views from the Chris Watts stuff, and that's amazing. But I also want you guys to watch my other stuff, too, because I think it's good. And I appreciate everyone that's been doing that. Also, the audio should sound better. Got some comments from my mod Tori telling me that there was some maybe I was a little bit quiet. I should sound a little bit better. I should sound a little bit bassier, a little bit beefier. You are now listening to Radio 413 Philadelphia. Like I should have that voice, right? So we should be good, okay?
Am I in trouble because I deleted his text?
You're not in trouble.
I didn't know what was going on at that point.
So, I know does that cause question?
Of course it
Of course
does.
it does. There is, but is it criminal? No.
It's criminal.
Is there a concern that you're hiding something?
The way that the video is like glitching, it looks like a horror movie where they're like...
Potentially. That's why I'm
Jolting.
on, or I wouldn't be asking for him.
I know.
And
I'm
you've
trying to give you guys
you've
that.
been upfront with me about everything. I don't have a concern that you ever told Chris, I don't want you, go kill your wife,
No,
or
no.
get rid of your kids, or I don't want to date you if you have kids. None of those things ever came out of your mouth. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
So, but until those text messages that are deleted are there,
Why were they deleted? We know why.
and all that.
Do I think Nichol outright in a text said, you need to kill your wife? No, I do not. Do I think Nichol worded it in a way where it's you need to be free. You need to start fresh. You need a new life. You need me. We need each other. Just each other. Yes, I do believe she did that.
It's just speculation. But it's kind of like, why did you do that? And I get your excuse. I understand what you're saying, that on Tuesday you realized who this man was and what he had done. And you didn't want him to be part of your life anymore, so you got rid of it.
I didn't even want to see it in my phone. It was like freaking me out because I remember I had like deleted them, and then he sent me another text, and then I deleted that one too.
Right.
This is a sad case, but it is an important one to tell nonetheless. And one of the reasons we're able to present you stories like this and talk about the law and talk about the facts is in large part to the support we get from our sponsors. And that
Okay, all right. Thank you for the people for sponsoring True Law and Crime Network.
says he never. Kessinger said she knew Watts was married and that he had 2 little girls, but says he never spoke about hurting them or getting rid of them to be with her full time.
But just because I care about him and I care about his kids and all of that doesn't mean that
bullcrap.
I'm ready to turn around and like commit
Did
everything.
he ever say anything like that? Like, do I have to get rid of my kids, or
No.
do I, you know?
This shocked me just as much as I think it shocked the rest of the world.
This shocked me just as much as it shocked the rest of the world. Oh, really? Says the woman that was committing adultery with a man who she knew had a wife and children, compared to the entire world who had no idea what was going on, who no idea who Chris was, and would have thought they were a happy family. Oh, yeah, it was just as much of a shock to you, huh, Nicole? Oh, yeah. You had no idea it was coming. You just so happened that your phone pinged in the same area the morning of. Oh, it just so happened that Chris mysteriously got oxycodines from somebody. Oh, it mysteriously deleted text messages. You mysteriously knew how to scrub Facebook profiles and delete messages so no one could find them. Oh, you're right. You're right, Nicole. No, this was probably such a shock to you. You were probably more shocked than Shanann's friends and family, right, Nicole? Give me a break.
All of it. Like he lied so much. Now I go back and think about all the
He lied so much.
lies. Everything that they knew about him was like lies. I mean, his friends let him stay the night at their house. He even fooled them. It's not just me. He lied to everybody. He had all of you fooled.
He had all of you fooled. This is crazy stuff. So she is saying Chris is a liar. Chris is saying that Nicole is a liar.
And everybody stood up for him. His friends stood up for him. I really thought she left. I was like, let her go.
Stop
You
it.
know, come back in a day. She'll be all right. Let her cool down. She'll be here. It'll be okay. You know, like, had me convinced. Like, I think she's just upset. And then. Never would I have guessed. I mean, even now, when I go back through this stuff, that I'm like, it doesn't make sense, you know, or it like seems a little off. That stuff still doesn't send a red flag to me, like, hey, this guy's gonna murder his family.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any, you didn't have any indication, and by all accounts, it doesn't seem like anybody did it.
No, I just, like, you know, sometimes I like, try not to think what that man is thinking, because, like, you don't know, you know, but it's like...
Yeah, I mean, this is just textbook deflecting. She's just putting the blame on Chris. Now, once again, did Chris commit the crime? Yes. Chris is an evil monster. But, once again, she is just throwing everything to him. He's crazy. Oh, that guy, you knew him. You knew who he was. I have such a hard time believing that this just randomly happened and she had no clue it was coming. It's just not possible. Especially with all of the searches and the constant jealousy. You know, when she told him, you know, I won't be sleeping with Shanann out of respect to you. Like, you could tell there was possessive and control issues with Nichol that she had with Shanann. And that was his wife and pregnant wife. Like, it's insane.
How long has his brain been like shifting to this paradigm shift where he feels the need to do this? It's like, I just don't believe that it's something that just happens in a day or 2 days. I don't think it happens in 2 months. I think that this is something that takes a very, very long time.
See, another alibi. Yeah, see, this has nothing to do with me. I barely know the guy. I've only known him for like a year. This is something that takes years and years. This has nothing to do with me. There's just not enough time that I knew this guy. Like, you were texting every day. You saw him almost every day for months. You know, but it's trying to be like, oh, I barely even know Chris. What? His name's Chris, right? Is that even his name?
To develop, and I don't.
Right. So that scares you when you look back at it?
Yeah, because I think about it and I'm like, he could have had that capacity to do that, whether I was in his life or not.
Watts ended up entering a guilty plea in exchange for the death penalty being taken off the table, and he was sentenced to 5 life sentences with no possibility of parole. But after he was sent to prison, Watts finally revealed to authorities what really happened that night, or at least this could be the real story. We honestly will probably never know. But he says after the argument about divorce, he strangled Shanann to death. That it wasn't her killing the kids.
Yeah, no shit, Chris.
And when 4-year-old Bella walked into the room, seeing her mother in that state, he told her, "Mommy doesn't feel good," and wrapped Shanann's body in a sheet. He put the body in his truck and drove it and the 2 girls to the oil site, where he proceeded to smother the children to death and hid their bodies.
And once again, when we found out with the video I watched on Tuesday, he actually already thought he had killed his children with smothering them, and then they were still alive. So then, as a plan B, he just brought them with him and then smothered them again when he got to the oil fields, which is just diabolical. He basically did it twice.
Since he went to prison in 2018, Nichol Kessinger has basically dropped off the map, preferring to avoid the public eye. Not surprising there.
Yeah.
Police have never said that Kessinger had...
If you're innocent and you didn't do anything wrong, you would be, not saying you'd be out and about, but you would not, like, if you're Nichol and you've disappeared, probably changed your appearance, changed your name. Why is that, Nichol? Might be something, a little guilty conscience there, right? Because if you're an innocent person, you'd say, I was roped into this. I'm going to live my life. Makes you wonder. Why are you off the grid, Nichol?
Any knowledge about Watts' crimes. However, now it seems Chris Watts may be placing the blame on Kessinger for what happened. Because in recently published notes from Watts' cell out in Wisconsin,
this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting to see this.
And he was moved there. We've learned he labels Nichol Kessinger a Jezebel who destroyed his life.
Okay, hold on. I want to look up what a Jezebel is. Like, I've heard that phrase before, but let's see. Jezebel. Jezebel refers to the Bible's wicked queen Jezebel, the Phoenician wife of King Ahab of Israel, who promoted adultery and persecuted prophets. So it's a derogatory term for a shameless, licentious woman, or a woman perceived as evil, scheming, and manipulative. Excuse me? Manipulative. That's a hard word to say. Manipulative? All right.
Watts evidently writes letters to God as a form of journaling.
Okay.
In one of those pages from 2020, he writes, "Dear Heavenly Father, I have backslidden. I am like a sheep gone astray from the flock and have fallen into a pit. The snare of the enemy has entrapped me. The words of a harlot have brought me low. Her flattering speech was like drops of honey that pierced my heart and soul."
Why this man writes like he thinks he's a damn scholar.
He goes on, "The blessings you have bestowed upon me were right in front of me, and still I followed the perfume of a strange woman."
Wow, so he's saying, well, I had the perfect life and it still wasn't enough. Exactly, Chris. You had everything.
"The enemy and his Jezebel mock and scourge me as they celebrate another capture. You, O Lord, did not leave me captive or condemned. You heard the prayer of the destitute and of the prisoner appointed to death." Now, Dylan Tallman,
Who the hell's Dylan Tallman?
was in the cell next to Chris Watts for around a year. He was locked up on drug possession charges, and he told the Daily Mail that he and Watts became friends and studied the Bible together. The two apparently even planned to write a book together.
Oh, Jesus.
But when Watts
Literally
backed out of that deal, apparently, Tallman instead turned the writings into a series of his own books called The Cell Next Door. According to Tallman, Watts told him that Kessinger gave him an ultimatum on the night of the murders. It's your family or me.
Wow. I believe that 100%. Do you? I believe that 150%. That seems exactly like something Nichol would say. It's either them or me. Pick one, choose, let's go. Wow. Also, why would that guy, Dylan, why would he lie? Like what does he have to lie? You know what I'm saying? Like, I guarantee you they had these conversations. Wow. That to me is enough proof, really. That Nichol is once again, Chris did it. And he did it. But I do believe she laid the foundation.
Of his own books called The Cell Next Door. According to Tallman, Watts told him that Kessinger gave him an ultimatum on the night of the murders. It's your family or me. All right, so with that...
What an evil woman. It's your family or me. If you ever make someone pick their family over you, you need to get help.
In mind, and clearly a lot to talk about, I want to bring in prison consultant Justin Paperny to talk more about this. Justin, thanks for coming back here on Sidebar. First, let's, from the basic point of view, it's not uncommon for prisoners to talk to one another, let alone about their crimes, right?
It's cathartic for a lot of prisoners to talk about it. Something we
It's got a Mookie Betts bobblehead up there.
encourage people to do is to really talk less and do more, because problems can follow. And in this case, it's a disastrous crime. And rather than try to show any acceptance of responsibility and own it, as we say, he's continuing to create more pain and shame and devastation for the people that he crushed. So he has no one to blame but himself. And this prisoner who's electing to write these books, he's resourceful. He's been in and out of prison, as I understand, and he's looking for an avenue to bring more attention to his work and hopefully create a path to not return to prison. But it is not uncommon for people to go to prison, to form friendships, to open up, and unfortunately say things that can only make matters worse for people they've hurt. And in a high-profile case like this, it's very likely this news would get out.
It is true, though. It is like Chris saying that almost makes it like he wants people to feel bad for him. Like, oh, I was controlled by this woman. And that's why I will always say Chris is still a monster that deserves to burn in hell, because he still did what he did, whether he was told to or not. You could tell me to go run 10 miles today. You could tell me to do that every day. I'm not going to do that because I hate cardio, right? So you could tell someone things, but they still have to do it.
And sometimes worse for themselves, because how many cases do we cover where there's jailhouse informants? Hey, I had a conversation with this guy, and let me tell you what he said, and then testifies against him in a trial. It doesn't matter for Chris Watts, because he's going to be spending the rest of his life in prison. But
that's why I think Chris didn't mind talking a little bit, because what's he have to lose at this point? He's already guilty. He's not leaving.
Tell me about the religious component of it. Do people, when they go to prison, do they have a newfound lease on religion? Do they become spiritual? Because that's what you're seeing, in a sense, from these Chris Watts notes.
I believe he's using faith or religion as a tool to advance his agenda.
I agree.
This wasn't his fault. Now blaming his former mistress is tragic.
I think religion is great and all, and whatever you believe in is great. But there are definitely people that are performative with it, right? That use religion to try to get or change a narrative. And I think it's so obvious that Chris is trying to almost put on a show, you know?
Lion's share of people who go to prison and find faith use it the right way. They want to make their life better. They want to improve. They never want to return to prison. What we have with Watts is a once-in-a-century sociopathic, narcissistic killer. And because of that, he is incapable of reform. He is incapable of introspecting and recognizing that he alone is to blame for this. So it's easier to feel sorry for himself in that prison, blame other people, and cloak it under the guise of faith. Even some of his letters stating that God has forgiven him for his infidelity misses the mark. He murdered his wife, his young children, his unborn child. He's a sociopath. And like I said, one in a century type narcissistic killer, though it's was so shocking when he was in trouble because he looked fit, he looked healthy, he's a handsome guy, married with children. It's hard for people to comprehend this is what a killer looks
Honestly, don't even give him a compliment and say he's handsome. He doesn't deserve it.
like. But in this case, this is a stone cold killer, and it's a tragedy that he's continuing to make matters worse for the victims in this case, including his mistress.
Okay, that part I'm like, it's not a tragedy he's making things worse for his mistress, Nichol, because I do believe Nichol did give him an ultimatum. They're both crazy. He is the murderer, but I'm telling you, I do believe that. So it's like, oh, do I feel bad that her name's getting dragged in the mud? No, I don't. I really don't. And maybe that's a bad perspective on my end, and that's fine. And if you disagree with that, I get it. I think I just am going off of a gut feeling here that something is not right. And I do believe that what Chris was telling that guy in the cell was probably the truth. Now, did he leave out other stuff to try to make himself look better because he's a narcissist? Of course. We'll never get the full, honest truth from either Nichol or Chris. The truth is somewhere in the middle, and that's just the way it is.
And by the way, I think that's so interesting that people who are locked up, and he's going to be locked up for the rest of his life, they have to try to, it's easy for him to say God forgives him. It's easy to put himself as
right.
the victim in all this, right? Because he's trying to make sense of this situation and has to make sense of his life moving forward. But he is not the first man to be convicted of killing his wife or family while having an affair. But do you see this where they usually put the blame on the mistress? That they're the ones who led me astray, that she was the one or he was the one who kind of made me feel I had no choice but to kill my family. Have you seen this before?
No, that's why I said once in a century sociopathic killer. It's one thing to commit the crime, which is atrocious and awful. It's another to say, I'm going to make people suffer for my bad decisions for the rest of their life. So what he's done inside of that cell 24 hours a day is somehow rationalize and convince himself that he too is a victim of his mistress or circumstances or pressure, right? No one can go to prison regardless of the crime unless you rationalize. The difference is people rationalize every day. He pursued an opportunity to kill. And
I agree with that. He took it to that level. He was not forced to. She did not hold him at gunpoint, right?
instead of somehow trying to make amends, he makes matters worse and uses faith or God simply as a tool to continue to advance his agenda, that he's been forgiven, which then gives him another inside lane or track to continue to blame others because of whatever he does, regardless of what he says, he's going to be forgiven. And I want to make clear to the millions of people who may watch this, most people in prison, even those who have committed violent crimes, accept responsibility and want to find a way better back. And
I do believe that.
Do not continue to blame. He is once in a century psychopath.
And I do believe people can change. I do believe people that commit crimes can change. Now, when I say crimes, I'm not talking about killing your entire family. I'm just saying, just because you go to prison doesn't mean you're some evil, horrific person forever. But when you're a narcissist, I don't think you can change mentally. You will always be wired that way. And if it seems like someone who is a narcissist has changed, I believe they have just changed how they act. And when I mean act, I literally mean like putting on a show.
The killer.
I was going to ask you if that's particularly frustrating. We talk about the purposes of prison, right? There's a number of different purposes. There's deterrence, there's rehabilitation, there's recidivism, there's a lot of different reasons, but the fact that it is meant for rehabilitation purposes. Now, again, he's not going to be released back into society, but could he accept his crimes? Could he help other people in prison? Could he provide some sort of benefit while he's back there and take acceptance? The fact that he's saying this, and yes, some of these letters are older than others, but the fact that he is at that point doing that, is that particularly frustrating to you that he's not accepting? Which, by the way, right, if the video of him, so he pled guilty, and you see him crying in court during his sentencing, and then he admits to investigators afterwards what he did, but the fact that he's still not quite accepting his role in it, that must be very frustrating, I imagine.
it's frustrating and sickening to me as a husband and father of 2 young children. You can imagine the pain for the families devastated by his actions. Now, in speaking with some victims over the years, even in some white-collar crime cases where the losses can be devastating and people end up practically homeless, many will say, it gets to a point where I am numb. I've lost all faith in humanity. So regardless of what my victim does to me, it doesn't matter. So there's a chance that even though he is blaming the mistress who's gone into hiding and excusing his conduct under the guise of God forgiving him, there's a point that the people that he's devastated have said there's nothing more that this man can do to her.
Right. What else could he even say? He already did the worst thing, which is take away their loved ones. Anything else that he says at this point, whether he's blaming Nichol or blaming this, or if God forgives him, it's just going to roll off them like water, because they already went through the worst of the worst possible scenario, which is their loved ones are gone. So yeah, I agree. This guy has some good takes. Also, already well over halfway through the video, I get so into these, I forgot to do my little halftime speech where I ask you to like the video if you don't mind. Click like. Also, now there's a new thing called Hype where you can hype a video. I don't have that on my phone yet. I don't know if I need to update my app. If you see that it says Hype, I think you could hype 3 videos a week for channels under 500,000 subs, and it can like give a algorithm boost. And I don't believe you have to pay. So if you have hype points and you see the word hype on my videos, if you want to click the hype button. I feel like such a boomer trying to explain it. Click the hype button. I don't know. I just saw that as a thing. Why not do it if you have it? And of course, leave some comments on the video and subscribe. See, I sing the word subscribe because it's that important. Subscribing to the channel is key. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, turn on the notification set to show all so you don't miss a single upload. And then once again, if you don't mind watching whatever I post 4 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I love, I'm like enjoying these cases, especially the Chris Watts stuff, because I know there's hundreds of videos I can make about this case, but I don't want to be the Chris Watts guy. So if you could at least do me a solid when I post, just check out the videos, I promise. Even if you leave them on in the background, you don't even care. Show some love if you don't mind, as it would mean a lot. We're growing the community. Thanks for being a part of the Triple Army.
Hurt me. And guess what? I will not let this psychopathic killer hurt me anymore. So there can be a sense of stoicism or calm and acceptance that follows. And frankly, that would be healthy for the victims in this case. But if I'm sickened and saddened and have chills discussing it, you can imagine the people that he hurts. And further, he continues to say things that, surprisingly, like Dahmer was killed in prison. It's a good thing he has a lot of security there, because when you kill young children, he is a target inside of that prison. So I can assure you there's a great deal of scrutiny and security from staff. And if any moment they look up, someone who's looking to hold him accountable for what he did and get in the news could look to pounce on him like they did with Whitey Bulger, like they did with Dahmer. And you could argue.
Yeah, I mean, if you kill someone who's so hated, you almost become a hero in a sense. It's almost like, well, I'm already going to be here, so let's make myself useful. I need to jump in and dive into the Dahmer case. I know some things about Dahmer because it's a huge thing, but I know some of you have mentioned, like, Ryan, you got to hit some of the basics. Dahmer and the clown guy, and as you can see, I need to do these deep dives because I need to learn more about the classic cases, the Ted Bundy. So yeah, I will get on that one day.
At some point it's coming if he doesn't shut up, if he doesn't continue to convey a different message. So I will tell victims of crimes, people will continue to hurt you, primarily the person that has stolen, or in this case, devastated your family. I have such empathy for the families that he continues to do this. I have such empathy for them.
No, you're 100% right. You're
true, because you know what? Every time he does something like this, a new video is made, a new report is out, a new study is out, a new headline is out, and it's just like, here we go again. What's he saying this time? Even though you're numb to it, it's like, great. Here we go again, right? It's another story.
100% right. He can be locked up but still continue to create harm, inflict harm and damage. But the idea of him putting the blame on this Jezebel, this mistress that he had, is that a way for him to protect himself in prison? Is that a way to say, hey, to the people around him, say, listen, it wasn't me, it was her? And I was trying to understand why he would do that.
It's so he can sleep. It's so he can find a way to have some meaning on the inside. There are people, because of his celebrity, who are enamored by him that might buy into this story. I know he receives letters from women across the country who might be sympathetic.
I'm sorry, but once again, if you're sending Chris Watts letters in prison of like love and sympathy, I think you should be on a list. I really do. And I mean that. I mean, to me, that's just insane. Look, you may find him attractive. You may say, oh, but his wife was filming him a lot and they were arguing. He killed his family. Like, that should be, let's just end it there. So anybody that is making his life, quote unquote, better or easier by sending him fan mail, I'm sorry, but you need to be psychologically evaluated.
To that message. So he does it to advance his agenda to get through very
and
long, tough days isolated in prison. But he also does it to elicit sympathy with hopes that he can create and find a romance through written letters in prison. And it's easier to convey that this wasn't my fault, it was somebody else's fault. And there will be gullible people out there who are in need of some meaning in their life who will take the bait and fall for it. So it's
for the love of God, once again, if you need some meaning in your life and you're desperate, I'm telling you, there's a lot better ways to pass that time or to find someone than trying to get in contact with Chris Watts. Let me just, if there's one person watching this out of the thousands that watch this, okay, trust me on that one. Just stop. I will judge you for it. Okay, I'm sorry, but I will.
Simply to advance his agenda. Nothing he has done since killing these people and going to federal prison, nothing. He has done nothing to put the victims first. It still remains about Chris, and
True.
It will probably be that way until he drops dead inside of that prison or until he's killed in there.
Talk to me about Dylan Tallman. You know, you have somebody who wants to seemingly profit off of his conversations with Chris Watts. Is that unusual?
It's not unusual. You had Vincent Bugliosi, an author many years ago, who wrote about the Manson killings. I wrote a book called Lessons from Prison on the Inside. My business partner, Michael,
it's right behind him.
Santos, wrote more than 20 books in prison. He had been in and out of the system. He's looking for a way to not return, to provide value. Clearly, there's interest in this story. So if he's doing it in an honest way and he's living a law-abiding life,
hey, you know what? If he's doing that so he's not on the streets and not doing drugs and he's actually making some money and he wants to shame Chris Watts for the stuff that Chris thought he said in private, you know what, man? More power to you. Exactly what that guy said. Chris should just shut up then if he doesn't want this stuff published.
Much like a producer may make a movie about Goodfellas based on the mafia, I think he has the opportunity to share these insights and stories. I see nothing wrong with that.
As long as
I
you're
don't
not
see
lying.
anything wrong with that at all. Now, some people would say he's profiting, as some people argued I profited off my book, and I would argue I'm sharing lessons I learned from this experience with hopes of helping people. He's providing insights into the mind of a killer. What's it like to serve a sentence alongside someone who shows no remorse or...
And look, as messed up as it is to say, it's still fascinating. And fascinating doesn't always have to be a good thing, but this kind of stuff is fascinating. It's something that you want to know more of. There's a reason you're watching this video. You're watching me react to some of this for the first time because it's fascinating. Different perspectives, different opinions. It is. You get enthralled in it. You get consumed in it.
Or shame. Criminal justice classes can learn from that. There's value that can come from that. But no, I do not have a problem with people sharing these stories about people in prison or with people that they served time.
Yeah, and I would say...
I've agreed with mostly everything this guy says, except I still think he's kind of making Nichol Kessinger seem like a victim, which I just don't agree with. I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comments.
To that also, you know, with him, and particularly, I think it's a good... some of the stories we cover, I know people say, you know, they know somebody similar to that, or they have a similar situation, and trying to understand kind of these patterns that we see can be helpful for people to kind of spot out some things that might be happening. But also, I think for him, and unfortunately this is the case that we see, convicted killers become popular on the outside. There are people who get love letters and support. But if you can understand who the real Chris Watts is, so yes, he was convicted of a crime, and that might not be enough for people. Yes, you hear what he did. That might not be enough for people. But if you hear the conversations he had in prison when he's not on television or he's not in a courtroom, that can maybe be a wake-up call to people. This is the guy who should not get any support whatsoever, right?
Yep,
this is the guy who what he's really about. And sometimes
finding out when they let that mask slip, you know, let that mask slip, and you hear some things, and you might go, "Oh, geez." Ugh. Even if you're somebody that's enamored with Chris and you for some reason sympathize.
People really open up in prison, and in a way that they never opened up in a courtroom or on TV or anything like that, right?
When you're serving time along, when you're in there 24 hours a day and you're forming friendships in prison, or you have people who are enamored by him because of the TV, and you're going to find people who are sympathetic to him, and you're going to find people that want to align themselves with him. I mentioned earlier when we went on air, my friend and mentor, Dr. Phil, before I filmed with him, he was talking about this case. You know, someone like Charlie Manson can find a young admirer while serving life at Corcoran, or someone like Chris Watts can get letters from people in prison. There's always going to be people who are sympathetic to it. And unfortunately, his parents are still alive. And I'm sure his parents, I know his
Cindy is alive. We know that. She's something.
mother visited him. She probably goes to see him and tries to offer as much support as she can, but she goes there
tells him that he's perfect, that everybody loves him,
knowing her son is a psychopathic killer. And at worst, or at best, he at least could have tried to make things better for his own family, who, like him, are going to serve a life sentence as a result of his consequences. It comes back to what I said earlier.
Yeah.
A once-in-a-century psychopathic, narcissistic killer who has no agenda other than his own and does not care whose lives he ruins in the process. And he does it under the guise or faith of God, which ruins the people who actually do it the right way, who do
correct,
find faith, who do find God. Who
that's a great thing that I talked about earlier, a great point. It's like, for those people that do find religion, no matter what religion it is, to bring peace to something the right way, the real way, that's great. Life is short. Find things in life that make you feel better. But when you're doing it as an act, it just makes it feel so disingenuous. And then it could make other people seem disingenuous when they're really not.
accept responsibility. He does a disservice to all people who truly mean it, which is most people in prison.
Hey, everybody, Jesse.
Most people in life, too, not just prison. All right, there you go. Man, oh, man. So, yeah. This man, Chris, won't take any blame. And I will say, though, I have a lot more to watch about Nichol. I'm not letting her get off easy. This guy over there seemed like he kind of made her the victim. I'm not so sure about that. Let me know what you think, though. Like the video before you leave if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. Check my page for the playlist. I have a ton of different playlists, but there's one about Chris Watts where I have all the videos I've made so far. You can watch them in order, catch up. You can find the second I started watching this and learning all the way till now. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, hype the video. And as always, if you want to follow me on Twitch, hang out with me live. I watch a lot of reality TV shows Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. PST. So if you ever want to stop by, say you came from the channel, that would be great. Shoot me a follow. But that's it. Thank you guys for all the love on Triple R. Thanks for being in the Triple Army. I appreciate it very much. I'll see you very soon. Actually, I'll see you on Saturday. Peace.